The question is what we have to do if we want to measure frequency modulated signal with SDR receivers. Let me show you with a spectrum analyzer with an analog receiver what have been done in the past. This for metering, and what is done now with a digital spectrum analyzer, and so very similar to SDR. This is an HP spectrum analyzer. We are seeing an FM wideband signal 102.5 MHz. The same we are receiving here with this analog receiver. You see a stable metering, of course, because you need to check the amplitude of the signal. If I change the frequency, I go out of the frequency, the signal goes down, but it always is steady. If I do this with a spectrum analyzer, now you can see that the amplitude of the marker is of course erratic, because I am seeing the spectrum density of the signal, and while it is frequency modulated, it spread its power into frequency, while the total power is always steady and constant, because it's frequency modulated, not, for instance, amplitude modulated. And so, if you see, for instance, the signal with an oscilloscope, you will see that the peak-to-peak value is always the same. But you see that the marker measuring in this configuration is totally erratic and will not give you any good information. It looks that continuously the power is changing, but it is not. Let me show you. If I increase the bandwidth of a spectrum analyzer until it gets all the power, now you have seen that quite without modulation you have the maximum, but with these settings. But really the power is also always the same. Let's change the bandwidth of a filter, passing from automatic to manual. I increase the bandwidth. Sorry, Andy. Okay. Now you start to see that the peak is more stable, but still not enough to make a measurement. If I increase, I start to see the platform of the total power. If I increase again, it is even better. Probably the next filter will be not so good, because you see that the shape of the filter, it is not like digital, like a door, but it has a shape. Let's try the other one, but I think it will take also other stations. So, okay, this is not a right measurement. But if you see, and if you change the span, you see that now the measurement is steady. If I go to 0 span, you can see clearly that There are only sometimes little spikes because the modulation goes over the filter, but now the measurement is quite steady, some tenth of dB. This is the way to measure an FM modulated signal. I'm now with zero span, I'm measuring in the time domain, and you see that the power is nearly constant. This is the concept I would like to demonstrate that metering has to be different for different signals. And this is the scope. If not, I will not get the result of stable metering like it was done in the past with analog receiver, and this is the goal. I can